Welcome back to Inuyasha Anime Review Part 4. Yep, back to the series now for Season 2. And then I'll do another series, basically. Just do that series first season, and then come back to this series to Season 3, and then do that Season 2. I'll reveal exactly what that series is when I finish up Season 2 for the show for Inuyasha. This one, like usual, I'm covering 8 episodes. Episodes 20 and 35. Mostly put these episodes just continue plot threads from the previous season. That's what these episodes are, and it does introduce about a few new characters for this particular series. Oh yes, few characters who actually do continually appear throughout the rest of the series. Now, the first new character is not actually introduced until... Let's see, I think it's not until, like, episode 34. Yeah, because pretty much if you look at the way that these episodes, like, the first episode is a standalone episode, and episodes 29 and 31 is a multi-parter, like a 3-parter. Oh, I did look it up to see how many chapters these 8 episodes adapted. This one adapted, like, almost, like, from what I can tell, 31 chapters in just 8 episodes. Started from chapter 101, ended with chapter 131. Not bad. The first episode is just a standalone episode. Basically, Moroku... there's a few things revealed about this one. You can reveal a little bit about Moroku's backstory. The fact there was this monk who basically was kind of like a father figure to do with his father being consumed by the wind tunnel. You see it in flashback. What happened was you see his father's grave, which simply put a giant pit in the ground with a one small gravestone in the middle, basically because he was consumed by his own wind tunnel. Unknown if his father and grandfather basically were perverts, but not much is known about them except that for his grandfather, he's the one who basically first got the curse from the Raku 50 years prior to the events of the series. Well, after the events of the pilot episode, well, before they jump ahead 50 years in the future, 50 years later. And he basically, the reason why he goes back there, because he fights a praying mantis who ends up damaging his wind tunnel, basically damaging his hand. And if he uses any further, it will basically kill him a lot quicker than usual. So he goes visit the monk, and the monk himself is later on possessed, well, basically during the course of visiting him, he's possessed by a worm demon, well, a worm piper demon, which basically shows up, and they don't kill him per se, because he's the only one who actually can fix Moroku's wind tunnel. They do basically, well, as for the Piper, I think he's killed by Kagome. Yeah, the worm charmer, yeah. After he's killed, they take the bow, basically excise it. His wind tunnel is fixed, and then Moroku, it's like, he's looking at his wind tunnel hand, and then he basically, everyone look at him, and then Sogo basically acts weird, like she feels embarrassed by something, and the reason is because Moroku is grabbing her butt. Of course, he gets smacked for the matter, but it's so hilarious, like, okay, so he's back to normal, and the first thing he wants to do is grab Sogo's butt. As far as I can tell, he never actually groped, never did anything to Kagome. I mean, he did hit on her frequently. He never actually touched her inappropriately, not that I can think of, no. I think the reason is a Shogo because Shogo doesn't have a boyfriend, or at least some guy like Inuyasha around. But it's a funny ending for the episode, but yeah, good thing for Moroku. Now, the thing with 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33, this is basically kind of like a 5-parter in a way, basically. Yeah, these 5 episodes are basically closely together. Like, first you have basically kind of like a 2-parter per se. Yeah, and then, like, if you look at, like, basically, yeah, these are 5 loosely connected episodes. Basically, you have a 2-parter, a aftermath episode, and then another 2-parter, and then another 2-parter. That's what you can say would happen with these ones. 29-30 is the return of the Raku to the series, And Kohaku returns first time since episode 24. He's revived thanks to the shard of the Shukan Jewel embedded in his back, though later on in the series, apparently he moved it to someplace else in his body, like upper part of his body for some reason. I don't know why. And he is completely brainwashed by Naraku to work for him, and yeah, also, him being brainwashed also means that he loses all his memories. So he has no problem killing his own beautiful sister. So, he pretty much uses his first thing he does is massacre a village to get Inuyasha's attention because he really wants that. Because for some reason, Naraku wants Tenseiga for some reason. Yeah, that becomes a plot both in this two-parter and in another two-parter involving Shishomaru, which I'll get to that soon. Yeah, though this one helps us up a plot thread of a run for quite a while, basically of Kohaku working for Naraku. Yep, and they find Naraku's castle, though it wasn't actually really his castle, it's a Phantom Castle they reveal it later. And basically, well, Shogo steals the Tenseiga to give it to Naraku as well, with it for his brother, even though he probably won't do it anyways. Yeah, so, of course Inuyasha's mad at her for it, of course he doesn't beat her up for it. Well, I don't think it's because she's a woman. No, it's not that. I think because he fully understands why she did it for. She's mad at her for doing it, but she's not going to hit her over it. I mean, if someone like Moroku did it, he probably would beat the crap out of him for doing it. But not Shogo. Nope, he would do it to her because he kind of sympathizes with her plight, basically, where someone she loves, basically her brother, used by Naraku to turn against her. So he sympathizes with her. Yep. And of course, prior to Resurrection, like prior to him showing if he's actually alive, Kagome and Shogo actually talk about Kagome's little brother and how Kohaku is similar to that to her little brother, despite the fact, in case you weren't, has Kohaku ever traveled to the present to ever meet Kagome's brother? No. Besides Inuyasha, like the only other character who's come close to basically traveling the present day is Yumi the Demon Hair. She's like the only one. Yep. And there's another plot thread, which we'll get to in a minute. So, they eventually follow Shogo back to the castle, and they have a big brawl with Naraku, which they show off his true form. He's actually, well, of course, the viewer already knew he was possessing the actual, the feudal lord's son, and basically Kagome doesn't like what he basically, everybody despises what he's doing. So basically Kagome uses her arrows, basically just pretty much almost destroyed Naraku. Pretty much reducing down to a freaking head. Yep. And of course, well, during the course of the battle, Shogo herself is basically wounded heavily by her brother and suffering traces of gas. So basically, in the very next episode, which is a standalone episode, even though it's a standalone episode, it's basically just the epilogue to what happened in the previous one. Yeah, Shogo basically has stayed behind for injuries. So basically, they have Shogo staying behind the hut with Moroku protecting her with Shippo there as well. And the thing is, the reason why Shippo's there is to keep an eye on Moroku, so he doesn't do any pervy things to her. Like, I don't know, try to grope her when she's wounded. At least he sensible enough not to do when she's basically already, let's just say, confronting her brother, or at least grieving her brother at this point. Yeah, he's not trying to do that. Yeah. And what's Inuyasha Kagome up to? Well, we have traveled them to another village, looking for medicinal herbs to help out Shogo and Kalala, who actually herself was wounded during the actual battle itself. Yeah, she was suddenly poisoned by Kohaku and Naraku's gas. And they meet. They supposed to this is where Miyoka comes back into the story. You ask me, absent for the last 2 episodes, what the heck he's been up to? No idea. Though I should point out, after this standalone episode, he doesn't return again to episode 34. Yeah. Then we have, and we kind of reveal a little about Inuyasha's backstory, where he kind of was, some things Kagome kind of reveals that he basically suffered, Inuyasha went through the same thing that this guy, Genji, basically went through. Genji is this taller demon, Oh yeah, and get this. His mother did the same thing Inuyasha's mother did. Fell in love with a demon and had a child. And it's believed that he's the one killing all the villagers, these villagers. But no, it's some flesh-eating centipede. And of course, well, the centipede itself is actually killed by Genji. The little, let's just say, little worms are killed by Inuyasha. And some of the villagers try to kill it, but eventually, of course, they also think, so this is before the thing shows up, they actually burned down his house. And later on, they regret doing that because they realize, oh, yeah, he was a little responsible for that. Excuse me. So, like, pretty much as soon as, like, they deal with this, the villagers have rebuilt the place, and, well, they go back, and then, of course, the very next 2 episodes, Kikyo returns. Yep, and this is also Shogo's. Now, Shogo in these 2 episodes and the following 2 episodes, she interacts with 2 separate characters that she's never interacted before. Well, she sees them, she doesn't really talk to them that much. As a matter of fact, in the case of Kikyo, never speaks a word to her this whole 2-parter. And she has heard of Kikyo. She's probably know of her appearance, but she's never actually seen her before. And basically, this 2-parter basically has her see her first time. But not the only character seeing her for the first time. We also have Naraku, first time seeing her since he killed her 50 years before. Yeah. And of course, he had no idea Kikyo was even alive. Yeah. Of course, he does try to ask her, like, how are you alive? I killed you. She never answers the question. Despite the fact that viewers know she was recommended by a demon to hunt for shards of Shikan Jewel and be a servant to that particular woman, which didn't really work out too well. Yep, and of course Naraku is, well, basically it's Lore who is, let's just say, ill. And Kikyo sends some demon stuff around him. And of course we have another plot thread, basically, where there's these falling corpses of demons. Yeah, the reason for this is actually because Naraku was seriously wounded by Kigome 2 episodes back in episode number 30. Yeah, this is 2 episodes after that. Yep, and he's using these demons, of course, revealed at the end of the 2-parter. He's using these demons to reform his body. Yep, basically restore it to natural strength. Yeah, and Kikyo basically, like, first she sort of stumbles into the situation. We have Kagome seeing her, and we have her have a brief conversation with her, while Inuyasha's fighting another demon. Of course, Moroku decided to give up because it sort of involves some sorcery, basically combining multiple parts of demons. And it turns out there's another Shukon Jewel there, and of course, well, during the course of these events, Kikyo kind of basically forms an alliance with Naraku for some reason, and takes Kagome's shards and gives them to Naraku. Why? Probably because she felt like it. So, anyway, she's like, yeah, okay, this might be less shards. We can still look for more shards because there's still hundreds of shards, basically, to look throughout the country. And Kikyo just goes off, does whatever. Of course, she still occasionally pop up in the series now and again, but yeah, it was something though when she showed up in this 2-parter. It's like, okay, she is, like, how she survived her previous encounter, like, with Inuyasha is never explained. It's like, oh, she's just helping out some people who are wounded until she's taken to a feudal lord. Yep. Interesting little 2-parter. Yep, and then the next 2-parter, Return of Sesshomaru. First time in this season he basically shows up. Yeah, he showed up a couple times in the previous season. This time, though, he has another rematch with Inuyasha over the sword, because he really wants it. Because it's revealed, though, that his sword, Tenseiga, is actually useless. So, this one's his debut of... Excuse me, I have a little hair mouth. Yeah, debut of Tosai. Yes, the man who forged Tenseiga and Tensaya. Yeah, Tensaya is basically Shishomaru's sword, which prior to this two-parter, he had never unsheathed before. You've probably seen him basically have it, but he never uses it. He does use it on Jaqen, which does nothing to him, just heals him. Yep, and like he tries to fight him, and well, he gets blasted away. Then all of a sudden, Shishomaru finds a dragon, kills it, and takes its arm, and uses the attack Inuyasha like one more time. And though the whole period of time this is happening, like we have Miyoga basically explaining, yeah, Inuyasha's strong, and of course we have it where Tosa's like, yeah, I don't believe you. And of course Tosai a lot of the time gets beaten up by Inuyasha. Now normally basically Kagome might step in basically when it comes to him being bopped in the head. But in the case of this, well, he rightfully earned it for saying stupid things. Yep. And the whole point of this basically is the debut of is to show up his wind scar. Yep, and Shishomaru basically helps him see it. Well, thanks to his battle, he basically comes at him with a freaking dragon arm. Which apparently Kagome has no idea what the heck a dragon is. Now, I know what a dragon is. As a matter of fact, the dragon that Shishomaru attacked was actually a Chinese dragon. How do I know that? Because I've seen pictures of the damn thing. Yeah, if it was a European dragon, it would actually be a lot more big of a body. This is more of a snake-like appearance. But this is more of a Chinese sort of Asian dragon. That's pretty much what this is. Like, as a pop-up in the series of Inuyasha, they have mentioned in a previous episode that dragons do exist in this particular world. So it's something we finally see a dragon, and it's pretty much just wasted by Shishomaru with his basically his whip. Yep, and then he takes on Tenseiga, which he also like has a cry, has a shaking. At one point he blinds Inuyasha, so he basically can see the wind scar. He uses it right on Shishomaru, which pretty much damaged his outfit, which is the second time in this series his outfit's been damaged. I mean, his armor has been damaged, his armor's been damaged, but I think it's also the first time his cloth on his Komodo actually had been sliced, because that had never been sliced before. Now, even the last time he showed up in the series, which is basically when Kagome basically wounded his armor. Yep. So he sort of flies off, basically becoming the first character sent flying by Inuyasha. Yeah, the first character basically to do this. Though this is due to the fact Tenseiga steps in, basically heals mostly Shishomaru, but he's sent packing, and then he ends up in the forest where he comes across a new character, Rin. This adorable little girl who is an orphan, who gives him food and drink. It turns out the fish actually comes from a reservoir she's technically not supposed to, and what do the villagers do? In very typical Inuyasha fashion, she gets beaten up for it. I mean, it's a little girl for crying out loud. And thank God they don't show actually hitting her, because at least the anime is sensible not to show 4 full-grown men kicking a little girl. They show her wounds afterwards, which is fine. I have no problem with that, but thank God they didn't show them actually hitting her, because that would have been so stupid. And she's mute the whole time. And apparently she's been mute ever since her family was killed by demons. Actually, not demons. Her family was killed by thieves. And then, like, she goes back to her hut. Yeah, she lives in this hut. And comes across a demon. Yes. A demon turns out to be a thief. And we have a debut of another character. Koga. Of the wolf tribe. Yeah, he makes his debut in this episode along with his frickin' wolves. And his wolves proceed to, after he kills the guy who took one of his Shukan jewels, decides to have the whole village just get massacred. For absolutely no reason. Just cause. And this guy is one of the good guys in the series, and yet he orders a massacre of a village. This is probably where Kagome changed him. Yep. And of course, well, after the wolves kill Rin, Shishomaru, who basically is awake, found by Jaqen. And of course, well, Jaqen doesn't like Shishomaru doesn't like the fact that, like, I expect a warm welcome, not an interrogation. Because he was thinking back to previously when he was sliced by Shishomaru. and they basically go walking, and they come across Ren's dead body. And lucky enough, it's not covered with wounds per se, because it was something disgusting for a little girl. They show it look like she's kind of dead. The little blood, but not basically wounds. That would have been gross. So he uses Tenseiga to revive her. Yep. And then she starts following him. And that becomes a plot thread for pretty much the rest of the series. Her following Sesshomaru around. Yep. And then of course you have the Inuyasha gang, who actually are absent, who don't really do much anything until they don't come this particular direction until Kagome senses a shard Shukan Jewel. They race over to the village where it's been pretty much massacred, which just makes it like the third town in the series to get massacred. I think like the first, actually like third or fourth, because the first town they came across that got massacred was massacred by 100 demons. They've had another one basically where Kohaku basically killed them all, and this one it was basically a bunch of wolf demons. Yep. And at the end of end of this episode, we have a conversation between Inuyasha and Koga. And that, of course, leads into the very next episode. Now, why did I stop here, even though it's kind of a cliffhanger ending? Because this is where I wanted to stop. Yep. But this overall was a really good set of 8 episodes. Overall, I think like I said, only 3 new characters introduced. And they're just supporting characters. Basically, Rin, a character who travels with Shomaru. Tosai, basically the guy who forges to forge the 2 swords, who still occasionally appears in the series. Oh yeah, and like Miyoga, he's a coward. Yep. And I'm trying to think, was there any new character? Now I can think of no, but there's another character who's a debut leader related to Sesshomaru, which I'm hoping I get that near future. Yeah. And it's something, though, for these particular 8 episodes, and it covers, like, 31 chapters. A lot more in 8 episodes than, let's say, they did for the first season for the show, which was, like, 22. Yep. But they're basically plowing through, basically, the series in just this amount of episodes, okay? So, yeah, that's it for this particular review. Stay tuned. I'm going to do a few more videos today. Of course, I'm going to do hopefully another Inuyasha review today. My next video is going to be a review of the second last arc of Pandora Hearts. And after that, I'm going to do Fire Force, My Hero Academia, at the end of the course, together in a watch that video, okay? See you in the next video. Bye.